Hi guys, this is Sam here. So I'm going to show you how to quickly set up your iPhone, brand new iPhone, be it iPhone 5, 6, 6 Plus, 5C, 5S, or even the older ones. The steps are going to be the exact same. So even if you're setting up your iPad actually, or your iPod, the steps remain the same. So with the iPhones and the iPad cellulars, you'll have a SIM card. Not necessarily needed unless, of course, you're going to use a SIM card for data purposes on an iPad. However, in order to activate an iPhone, you will require your SIM card that fits your desired iPhone. So be it iPhone 4, 4S, you'll need a micro SIM. If it's an iPhone 5, 5C, 5S, 6, 6 Plus, then you will need a nano SIM card, which is this one. So this is just a deactivated AT&T SIM card. I'm just going to insert it just to activate this phone. Give it a few seconds. There you go. This says no service. Just going to select English. You will select your country, and then you want to select connect to a wireless network, unless of course your SIM card has the service. So if your SIM card has service and data activated on it, then you do not need to connect to a Wi-Fi network. Once it finishes connecting to the Wi-Fi network, we will continue to activate this iPhone. So there we go. So you want to enable location services because one, you will need it for Find My iPhone, you will need it for your maps and many other things, and we can show you how to adjust it later on. So now that you got past that screen, now the next screen is to set up your iPhone. So if this is the first time you have gotten your iPhone, or this is your first iPhone ever, then you definitely want to select the Setup New iPhone option. However, if you are coming from an older iPhone and now you got a new one, or you're just doing a replacement, then you want to select Restore from iTunes. Once you select Restore from iTunes, it will ask you to connect your iPhone to your computer and then follow the steps. Now, if you have done backups to iCloud, which may take a longer period of time to actually restore, so I always recommend that if you're ever replacing or upgrading to a new iPhone, best thing would be to just do one-time backup to your computer. So this way restoring process can be done with ease and within shorter period of time as compared to iCloud backup, because what happens with iCloud backup is everything has to be pulled from the cloud. So A, you'll need to have really fast internet connection. B, it's going to take a longer period of time as compared to when you back up to your computer. So again, if you're updating your iPhone from an older generation to a new one, or you're just replacing it because your old iPhone got damaged, then you definitely want to back up your iPhone or even iPad to your computer. So that way you could restore within, I would say, approximately half an hour. This is coming from somebody that has over 100 apps on their phone. I would say half an hour, 45 minutes max amount of time, as compared to iCloud backup. If you're restoring from iCloud, it could take hours. So this time I'm just going to go ahead with the process of setting up a new iPhone as brand new. So we will select that option, and then it will ask you for your Apple ID. Now, if you already have an Apple ID, then you can just sign in with your Apple ID. If you do not have one, you can create one, or you can skip the step. So to create one, you click on that, fill out your date of birth, and this follows the steps. It takes about maybe a couple minutes at most. You will have your iCloud ID set up. So for the purpose of demonstration, I'm not going to create the iCloud the iCloud ID. We're just going to skip this step. Next is to agree to the terms and conditions of Apple. So right here with the iPhone 5C, because this is what it is. So iPhone 5, 5C and older, you do not have Touch ID, so you can set up a passcode. I would highly recommend that you do set up a passcode just to secure your device. I mean, it's pretty easy to enter it. Just select something that's simple. Definitely not your date of birth or anybody else's date of birth in your family, and not as something as simple as your year of birth, because that's just too obvious. So select something a little more complicated but simple enough for you to remember. So because I don't need to set one for this, as this is just a demonstration, we're just going to skip this step. Siri, always just enable it. I mean, you could ask questions to Siri even while you're driving and whatnot, and then it'll give you the answer that you're looking for. Diagnostics right here, you can just enable it. This is just sending the information to Apple in case there's any app crashes and whatnot. So this only helps improve the services or the iOS updates in the future for everybody. This update right here, app analytics, I usually don't share it because I don't want developers knowing what I'm doing. with the apps if I'm using them frequently enough and whatnot. So for that reason, I just disable that. So now you're right here, you got your iPhone all activated and set to go. So what you can do is if you already have an iCloud account and you just want to sign up for a new service, then you could just go to iCloud and then sign in. Next thing you can do is you could go to messages. If you want to use your iMessages with your phone number, make sure you turn iMessage on. Or if you just prefer to simply text, then just turn iMessages off. Because this way, if you turn iMessage off, then it will just send, even with other users who have an iPhone, it will just send them a text message, also known as SMS, rather than actually sending an iMessage. FaceTime, the same concept applies. You could turn FaceTime on or you could leave it off. However, if you leave it off, then nobody else can contact you through FaceTime. So I would highly recommend it that you do turn on FaceTime, sign in with your account, or have it activate with your number. So if you want to use an Apple ID, you could use the same Apple ID that you have created for iCloud when you signed up. Or if you're going to sign up, you can always sign up for iCloud by going to iCloud and then create new Apple ID. Once you fill out this details, everything, and you got your account set up, once again, I would highly recommend that you do sign up for an iCloud account because it gives you a lot of benefits. It backs up all your documents and data to iCloud. It also backs up all your contacts at all times and also backs up all your notes at all times. So it's very handy and useful because in case you ever lose your device or you want to update to the next device, upgrade to the next device next year or in the near future, then all you have to do to bring your contacts, your emails, your notes, and your documents and data that you may have saved in your pages, numbers, or notes, or any other application, it'll basically just go over to your new device within a matter of minutes rather than doing everything manually to move it over. So now you got your iMessages set up. You got your FaceTime set up by going here. And what else? Mail accounts. Now, if you have any other accounts besides iCloud, for example, Hotmail or Outlook, you will use the Exchange option or the Outlook option right here. If you have Gmail, select the Google. If you have Yahoo, you would select the Yahoo option.
It's 4 o'clock.
And if you have any other iCloud accounts, like for example, you're not using for your main iCloud account, like for me, I have two separate accounts. One is just for iCloud backup, and then the other one I have that I just use for my application purchases and whatnot. I just like to keep things simple and separate. It's up to you with what you want to do. You could use the same account to download applications and whatnot, or you could have two separate accounts if you like. Now, you also have other options. So with iOS 8.1, this update brings you with different features. Seems like it's not available on this phone. But anyways, you have your cellular data, so you want to turn that on if your plan has data services. And if you do not have LTE service or your carrier does not provide LTE services, then you can just turn off LTE, and then the iPhone will select the best option, which is going to be 3G or 2G, whatever is available in the area. Wi-Fi settings. So what you can do is if you want to connect your phone to your wireless network, so you could just select the network that you want to connect to, punch in the password, and then you're good to go. Same thing with the Bluetooth. If you want to connect to a Bluetooth device, you simply turn on Bluetooth, and then you would just connect the phone to your car or any other Bluetooth device that you're trying to use it with, such as a headset. Software update. So if you ever want to update your software and you know there's an update available, simply go to settings and then general, click on software update, and it will update your iOS device to the latest software. iTunes and apps. So you can sign in with your Apple ID that you are using for purchases of your apps. Now this could be the same as the one that you use for your iCloud account and for purchases, so you just sign it in. And then there's option for updates, use cellular data. If you turn the cellular data off, then it will only use Wi-Fi. And once you sign in, there's actually, so you have the automatic updates. I usually leave this off because I like to manually update my applications, but it's up to you how you would like to do that. Another thing I would like to note with the iCloud account is that it provides a lot of simplicity. So if you have a Mac or another device, you can have everything sync in real time all across your devices, such as your Mac, your iPad, and your iPhone. So any note that you type on your iPhone would automatically and almost instantly appear on your Mac and your iPad. So it does provide efficiency at all levels when it comes to using Apple devices. This way, you don't have to ever move any content over. It's already available at your fingertips whenever you are on your next device. Besides that, I think that covers up everything when it comes to setting up your iPhone. So you have your photos right here, and then your calendar, your clock, your maps. I would recommend trying out Apple Maps, and then I will also recommend trying out Google Maps. Some of you might like Google Maps over Apple Maps just because it's a little bit more popular and a little bit ahead of Apple at this moment. I think Apple probably need another year before they can catch up to Google. It's map services, as they've been around longer. Passbook is another great application that allows you to add your boarding passes, so that you're traveling, or even like your gift cards, or even movie tickets, retail coupons, loyalty cards, anything that uses barcode. You could just scan it into your passbook and use that. Another application I would really like to point out is your health kit, or the health app. So you can add a bunch of different things that you wanted to record. So for example, steps taken per day, you could just put that in there, and then as the iPhone is in your pocket or in your hand and you walk around, it will count how many steps you've taken, and I would say it's pretty accurate. For everybody, I would highly recommend setting up medical ID. I think it's really great, because what happens is it shows up when you have it on the lock screen. So let's just put a name in here. You could add your date of birth, your medications, if you're taking any medical notes that you would like to add, any allergies and reactions, and any medications that you're currently on. So you could set everything up here, and you could also set up your emergency contact, add blood type. You could also add in there if you're an organ donor. You could add your weight, your height. So once you're done all that, you could just click done. And what happens is here, in case there's an emergency, okay, that's because I don't have a passcode on, but I'm going to quickly set one up to show you guys. So what happens is, so say you have an emergency and you're not conscious, and somebody finds you, your iPhone's right there. Well, it's going to have some information that's going to actually be helpful for them. Okay, so if you want to set up a passcode later on, it's under general and then privacy. You could turn on passcode. So we'll just set 000. There we go. So now that I have my passcode set up, I can just click on emergency. And as you can see right here, it says medical ID, and now it has medical ID. So all this information that we put in the health app under medical ID would be visible right here, so that anybody that finds you in case of emergency, and they can access this information and determine what the best thing to do for you would be, or who to contact in case you're not conscious or you're not able to make the calls yourself. Sounds, ringtones, you can set up your ringtones right here. That's your regular one, text tone, voicemail, new mail, sent messages. You could do everything right here when it comes to your sounds. Anywhere from low to high, you could do all that. You could also turn off the ring. Say you're indoors and you want to turn off the ringtone, just use this button on the side of the iPhone. This is found on all the iPhone models. So just put it down, and what that will do is just set it to vibrate only. Now say you don't want your iPhone to vibrate either. Now what you can do is turn that off, vibrate on silent. So that's going to happen is, now that if you get a message, it will not actually vibrate. It'll just stay silent. The screen won't come on, and you won't even know that you got a message. So if you wanted to vibrate again, just turn that back on. I normally don't ever need to put the phone into this state right here where I just want it completely silent. I just leave it on the vibrate function, and then I just use the side switch to turn it down. Another feature that I really want to talk about is do not disturb right here. So what happens with do not disturb is you could set it up to schedule, for example, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So what's going to happen is in between this time frame, anybody that calls you, unless they call you repetitively, which is 3 or more times, or sorry, 2 calls within 3 minutes from the same person would only ring. If that person does not call you back within 3 minutes, the second time, then the phone will not ring. So when you have do not disturb mode on, all the calls will basically just not be answered. You will not get any notifications. The screen will not turn on. So one of the things I would highly recommend is that you set up your favorites, and once you have those favorites, then you can select only they will come calls from them will come through. So for example, we have set it to favorites. Now whoever is in my favorites, which is found right here. So if you go to your phone tab and then you click on favorites, you could just click add, and once you click add, it will show you your contact list right here. You could select their phone number, their house phone number, or their cell phone number, and add it to favorites. So with do not disturb, what happens is when you have selected your favorites right here, only calls from your favorites will ring between this time when your do not disturb mode is on. So anybody else that is not in your favorites calls you between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. Again, another thing is you could set the time to be whatever you want it to be, but for this example is 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So anybody that calls you from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. That is not in your favorites will not basically bother you. The call will just ring and go to the voicemail rather than notifying you to answer the call. So if you want to create more contact groups, what you can do is you could actually go to iCloud.com and then click on contacts and then create another group in there. Yeah. So you could go to iCloud.com, click on contacts, and then create a group. You could create a group like ICE in case of emergency. So that's always helpful too. That's something I have set up on my own personal phone rather than favorites, because I have more people in favorites than I actually need for in case of emergency. So that's another mode that I wanted to bring up. Notifications. So you can set up which notifications you want to come through, that you don't want to come through. Another thing we have right here, cellular data. We have all the applications right here that are accessing your cellular data. So if you don't want FaceTime to be using cellular data, you could just turn it off. If you don't want Passbook to use your cellular data, then you could turn it off. This is great if you have a limited amount of data every month. Another battery saving tip I would like to give is background app refresh. So you could go to settings, general, background app refresh, and then click on. You could turn it off or you could turn it on. Or so if you turn it on, then if you have 100 apps or 50 apps, whatever number of apps, and you don't need all the application, like for example podcast, to be using to be refreshing in the background meaning like here. So these applications are now in background right here. Even if you close them, they will still remain in the background, meaning they'll still be able to get new information. For example, if you have a news application, it will be able to get new information. So you could just turn it off, and this is great for saving battery. You could turn on the battery percentage by going to settings, general, usage, and then battery percentage. This is great right here too if you want to see what's using up all your battery. So if you're experiencing low battery life, then just head over here and you'll be able to see what's using your battery the most. And it will also tell you what applications are using most of your storage and whatnot. So you'll be able to see all that right here. You can see what applications are using storage and how much of it. Display and brightness, you could set that. I always use like about 50% brightness for best battery life. That's what works best for me, but you could try playing around with to see what works for you, 60, 70. I've seen people with great battery life using at 70%, but at the end of the day, all depends on how much you use your device. You could turn on auto brightness, which will adjust based on the lighting conditions in the room or the place that you're in. You can also select text size. You can make it bolder, bigger. You can make it smaller if you like. You could turn on bold text. It will just basically respring the phone or like kind of do like a quick restart. Again, you know how to set up the passcode now, so I'm just going to turn this one off. If you want to turn on handoff or continuity and you have a compatible Mac that's going to work with that feature, then you can just go to settings, general, handoff, and suggested applications, and just turn this on. And what will this do is basically allow you to receive phone calls and also text messages and everything on your Mac through your iPhone. Basically, it's just going to hand that information off from your iPhone to your Mac. Just remember to have Bluetooth turned on. So the Bluetooth on this phone is on, and make sure that you are within 30 feet of your Mac or your your Mac, MacBook, any Mac product that you have. Just make, or even if you're using it with your iPad, just make sure you're within 30 feet range for continuity and handoff to basically work. What handoff and continuity does is, so for example, say you're browsing the web right here and you find something interesting, and now you want to carry that onto your Mac or your iPad. You want to see it over there. So what you'll do is you leave this application open as is, pick up your iPad, and you'll be able to continue seeing this web page on your iPad or on your Mac. One thing that's required to set up continuity and handoff is that you have the iCloud account created and signed in. So, and the same account needs to be on your Mac, your iPad, or any other device that you want to use continuity and handoff with. You can sign into your Twitter or Facebook accounts right here. If you just want to do quick shares, you don't really need to download their applications to do that. You have your newsstand for books, iBooks if you want. Oh, sorry, for magazines. You have iBooks for any books you might want to read on your iPad or iPhone. Weather, you could add a whole bunch of different cities. So you could add a bunch of different cities set up as Fahrenheit or Celsius. Add any and all cities that you may like. As you saw that I just had the option to add it just by location. That's really good. What happens is, so basically it detects your location where you are. It'll tell you the weather of that place right there and then, rather than you having to search through for the city and setting it up. In Safari, so in Safari, this is all your tabs. You could open as many tabs as you need. And then you can scroll through all of them by just simply clicking this button right here, this two squares. And it'll let you basically browse through all the open tabs that you have open on your iPhone or your iPad or your Mac. Even if you have tabs open on your iPhone or your iPad or your Mac, you'll basically be able to just scroll further down, and you would see those tabs right here, basically synced in through your iCloud account. So if you went out and you were searching something on your Mac, and you have that browser window still open on your Mac, and now you're not around your Mac anymore, well, you'll be able to see that window right here. So in order to see it, you just make sure that you scroll to the bottom of the list, and it'll be visible right there. You could set up reminders. You could ask Siri to set up your reminders. And then you have the basic things like calculator, FaceTime. If you want to make FaceTime calls, make sure you're signed in with an Apple ID, and you'll be able to make FaceTime calls, unless of course you have your FaceTime activated through your cell phone number. Then you don't need to sign in, and you'll just be able to make the FaceTime calls through that method as well. You have your calendar. You can make any kind of dates, whatever you got to do, add to your calendar. You could do that right there by selecting the plus sign and then adding all the details that it requests. So that's about it, guys. I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If it was, please click the like button below, and also rate and comment in the comment section if you guys have any questions, or if you would like for me to explain anything in further detail. I did try my best right here just to try to cover everything I could in this video. I know it's a little bit longer than expected, but I hope it covered everything. So again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. And we'll see you next time. And also don't forget to check out my other videos. I do make videos often, and some of the other videos already cover some of the other topics that you might be wondering about. So just check them out. Well, that's a wrap, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.